Safety at the office. Working alone. Precautions when working alone in a commercial space must always be adhered to. This is even more true in strip mall type offices and brokerages where large windows with lights on allow anyone walking or driving by to see that there is one person that seems to be alone. Pay attention to your instincts. If you have a bad feeling or something doesn't seem right, at least go to the trouble to ensure your safety. Next, when working in an office alone, be sure you are not in sight of outside people passing by. Blinds or curtains should be closed. That is not to say that you should hide. However, it is prudent to ensure that if you are alone in the office, to make sure that people walking by cannot easily see inside the office. Entering and exiting an office while alone. When you arrive at your office, regardless of what time of the day it is, be aware of your surroundings. Clearly, this may be more important at night, but nevertheless, it's a good idea to pay attention. It's not unusual for perpetrators to stalk or case a person or an establishment with ill intent for a future crime. A good number of crimes could be thwarted if people merely paid more attention. If we always have our attention on our cell phones, for example, we may be completely oblivious to the stranger that's been following us for the last 2 blocks. Or the stranger sitting in a car in front of our office, who we think nothing about. Perhaps he's waiting for someone, but your simple noticing of him could be important. Also, it is now common to listen to music, podcasts, or audiobooks on the go. Doing that will hamper a person's ability to stay vigilant and pay attention to their surroundings. If this is one of your habits, and it is dark outside, then please make sure to pause the files you are listening to and pay attention to anybody who is in close proximity to you and the entrance or exit of a building. When leaving your office, especially at night, be sure to look out the windows before you exit your locked office. Check to see if there are any cars parked near yours that seem out of place. Look to see if there are any people hanging around that look suspicious. If anything seems off, then call someone who can drive to the office and make sure you get into your car safely. Licensees who work late cultivate a buddy system with other agents who tend to work late as well. That way, they both agree that if one is at the office alone and feeling frightened, the other one will drive over to see that the first one gets to her car okay. If you are arriving at the office in the daytime and for some reason will be staying until after dark, be sure to park under a light. Most parking lot crimes, as stated earlier, happen in darker areas where the assailant feels less likelihood of being seen. Meeting unknown individuals. While we'll explore safety for property showings next, what about when a new client comes to your office? If it's during normal business hours, chances are good you will not be the only person there. However, it's always a good idea to find out as much about anyone you may be meeting at your office beforehand. One example that spans to showing anyone property is to pre-qualify them. In a recent survey from a group of 200 agents from all around the United States, their number one safeguard in working with new clients, the response was overwhelmingly to make sure the person is qualified. In our industry, we think of pre-qualifying as making sure a buyer is motivated in order to qualify for a loan. And while that is true, in this context, we're also ensuring a certain level of safety. In other words, if an individual has bad intentions of committing an assault of some kind, for example, he is not likely to go to the trouble to speak to a lender and perhaps provide tax returns and pay stubs. That's not to say it isn't possible any more than it is to say that an individual who refuses to speak with a lender is planning criminal activities. But, admittedly, it is one way to assure a buyer is truly a buyer. Should a buyer agree to meet you at your office without being pre-qualified, simply have your lender be at the office with you. Even if the buyer is still not interested, at least the person would see you are not alone.